This episode of Tryin is brought to you by Blue Def Diesel Exhaust Fluid. Welcome to Tryin.
Tow something home.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Michael Hand.
And that's pretty much what we're going to talk about in this episode. You find the perfect vehicle. Maybe it's that 51 Ford or 240 wagon. It's a deal. It's a steal. It is undrivable. You can try to fix it wherever it is before you bring it home, or you can get yourself a trailer and try to bring it back behind another vehicle you own that runs.
So finding a trailer, one really easy way to do it is to go to U-Haul's website, because they want you to rent trailers, so they make it really easy to figure out if you can actually tow a vehicle. So on the website, they have a cool little tool that lets you input the towing vehicle, the vehicle that you're trying to tow, and then they'll spit out what trailer you need and whether it's available, pretty much.
Yeah, it's really, really cool, right? Because the other thing is when you go to a rental company like that, chances are if your vehicle is not stout enough to tow the weight you want it to tow, they will rent you some sort of big old diesel-powered truck that will happily tow the weight you want to tow. We're fortunate enough to have my 95 Dodge with a Cummins diesel inside of it, which has a massive, like 10,000 pound tow rating, so we were good to go with pretty much anything. That said, if we were trying to tow the family Suburbosaurus, the Hella Bourbon as my wife calls it, we would actually have to go to like an equipment rental place, like the kind of place where you rent like a double drum compactor or an excavator, because we would need a 7,000 pound trailer to carry that 6,500 pound Suburban, and basically, you know, they don't rent anything that big at U-Haul.
So say you have the correct vehicle for your towing, you have the trailer, doesn't mean you're necessarily ready to tow yet.
Yeah.
You need the proper trailer hitch.
Yeah, and the nice thing about renting a trailer is they're generally not going to let you leave the place unless one of their technicians has inspected your stuff, right? So they're going to make sure you have a correct class trailer to tow the weight you want to tow, that you have a ball hitch, and then they're generally speaking going to attach everything for you. Let's go back in time and show you how we got this all set up. So your hitch is of an appropriate weight. You've got the appropriate size ball hitch attached, and basically you're going to line it up and lower the hitch onto the ball. There we go. Now you see our foot's lifting up here. So we're going to turn around and tighten down the lock. So our ball is secure. It's over. We can see the top of the ball and the top of the hitch. Let's go ahead and put the jack all the way up. You do not want to tow with the jack down. It is bad. You also always want to attach your trailer before you put the vehicle on the trailer. Otherwise, you won't really get it on the trailer. So, first thing I'm going to attach here, this is for the brake. And what this does, sometimes with electric brakes, there'll be a thin cable. With surge brakes like these, the idea is that if this gets separated from the tow vehicle, either an electric connection of some type, a switch is going to get pulled, which is going to lock the electrical brakes, or in the case of these brakes, this cable, this chain is going to pull, flip this up, and lock the surge brakes. Generally speaking, this is emergency equipment. Make sure it's connected. Also emergency equipment, safety chains go underneath the tongue here. We're twisting them up here so they don't drag as much. They get put on here and attach that. So locked, safety chains are in place, emergency brake is in place, and we need to attach our taillights and brake lights. We need to make sure the turn signals and the brake lights work. Left turn signal?
Yep.
Right turn signal?
Yep.
Brakes?
Yes. Need to come this way just a little bit.
All right, this is the tire strap. And the trick to this is to make sure it is centered behind the wheel. Slide that over, because this is essentially what's holding your vehicle down on the trailer. And there's a big old ratchet strap in front. You're gonna center that on your tire. I can pull it tight, and then Lock that down, go to the next tire. This is also a really good time to make sure you're in this type of trailer, right? You wanna make sure your wheel is all the way up against that forward stop. Again, we're gonna slide this harness so it's nice and centered on our tire. Strap it down. And we're gonna check that again before we leave. But before we leave the front end of the car, we've got a safety chain down here. So you're gonna wrap the safety chain around, make sure it's as snug as you can get it, make sure it's not over, say, your brake lines or electrical lines on the vehicle, and put your little safety catch in there. And around to the back. Do yourself a favor, use 2 hands on the ramps. Make sure they're locked in place. And we got one last safety chain to put on. I'm underneath this conveniently parked tractor trailer to talk about where to attach chains, right? For smaller vehicles, they're probably gonna have something like those tire straps we showed you. Larger vehicles, you end up with bigger trailers, and you're probably gonna have to actually chain your vehicle down. And when you're under the vehicle, like, you're gonna be looking around, and there's an axle. The axle is attached to a spring. The spring is attached to the frame. This frame is massive, and you're probably thinking, oh, I should run the chain around the frame. That would be bad. That's sprung weight on your vehicle. What happens when you attach the trailer, right? So you have your vehicle, your trailer. When you attach it to the sprung weight, when the vehicle, you hit a bump, the vehicle compresses, the chain loosens up, and of course the spring does what a spring does, which is rebounds, and the chain gets snapped. It may not snap the first time, it may not snap the 10th time, but invariably it will snap while you're going around a mountain curve, and you'll fall off to your death as the vehicle drags you. So don't attach the chains to sprung weight. Attach it to unsprung weight, which basically means attaching it to the axle below the leaf springs, or the axle, the A-arms, but basically below the leaf springs or below the coil strings to a sturdy part of the suspension, preferably the axle if it's a solid axle vehicle, or like the A-arm if it's not. Got that? Important safety tip. All right, so everything's attached before you leave, and frankly, before I leave any parking lot, if I've left the vehicle for any amount of time, and pretty much every time I get gas or diesel in this case, I check everything. Lights are attached, safety chains are attached, the hitch is still attached, my wheels are strapped down, my safety chain's on. In the front, the tires are well inflated, the ramps are still up, chains are down in the back. All right, everything's good. Let's hop in the truck, go for a ride. So before we take this for a test drive, let me give you a heads up about something called DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. Peak Automotive, our sponsor for this episode, makes Blue DEF their brand of diesel exhaust fluid. It's an API spec. It's like 32.5% urea, 67.5% pure water, and it's part of the selective catalytic reduction process. Helps clean up the emissions for diesel vehicles. Like you're driving cross country, right? Little light comes up on the dashboard, says it's time to add more diesel exhaust fluid. Don't panic, because it might say DEF, and it's not because you're going to go deaf. It's not some loudness indicator.
So if that light does come on, just go to the local AutoZone, Ace Hardware, something like that, truck stop.
O'Reilly, Tractor Supply, Pilot, Flying J's. I mean, you get the idea. The stuff is basically everywhere. Walmart.
Just pick it up and then put it in your car, and then the light will go away and you don't have to worry about it anymore.
And thanks for Peak Automotive for sponsoring this episode of Tryin.
Let's hit the road. Let's be safe.
You want to drive?
No.
All right. Trailer is secured to the tow vehicle. The vehicle you're towing is secured to the trailer. Your seatbelt's on. Your hands are at 10 or 2. You ready to go? I need you to slow down. Literally, right? It's going to take much longer to stop your vehicle. You're going to need to be a little more cautious in turns because you've suddenly got a 30-foot steel tail behind you. Changing lanes gets a little exciting on the highway. Here in the state of California, we got 2 things going for us. We have to stay in the right lane when possible, and any vehicle towing is at a maximum speed of 55 miles an hour. There's a reason for that. People drive like idiots around here. You know, and you may think, hey, it's got 4,000 pounds back there, but I can still do 85 miles an hour because my car is the bomb. Well, your car may be the bomb when you discover it takes you twice as long to stop with that vehicle towing behind you. I also want to point out, seeing as how we're in San Francisco, hills. Hills get really interesting when you have a lot of weight behind you. So slow down. There's a reason why diesels use exhaust brakes in situations like this. Shift down a gear, especially if you're on a steep hill. Use your engine compression to kind of control things a little bit so you don't burn out your brakes. It's amazing how hot your brakes will get if you're on a super long, super steep hill. So you're crossing the Sierras, you're crossing the Rockies, you're up in the Wasatch, I don't care where you are. Just slow down. Stay on the right side. If people honk, flipping the bird. Works for me. It's a New York thing. All right, lots of space, lots of room. Nice wide turn all the way out to the line. No horrible scraping noises because we're not hitting anybody else. So far, so good.
Hey look, we're back, and the car's even here.
Yeah, the car's on the trailer, the trailer's on the truck, the whole thing isn't upside down. Hopefully, we've demystified a little bit of the process of towing a vehicle, and of course, a little bit about diesel exhaust fluid for our sponsor, Peak Automotive. And, you know, it's kind of funny, right? You never need to tow a trailer until you do, and you should be cautious and attentive and respect the whole trailering situation.
But now all of you are experts.
Let's say, look, I've been towing for years and I don't consider myself an expert. Let's say I hope we've given you a solid foundation to build your expertise on. And if you think our advice sucks, comment down below, tweet at Tryin, or kick us an email, Tryin@revision3.com.
And hey, you should subscribe to us anyway. youtube.com/Tryin, Tryin.com.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Michael Hand.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
No more cars.
Not for a while.